all right. Positive energy all the time. Hit that like button, share, subscribe, hit the notification bell. Hope everybody's doing great. Rep your city, represent your city. To everybody on Facebook, I'm representing Chicago. Everybody on Twitch, I am representing Chicago. Everybody on Kick and everybody on YouTube, I am representing Chicago, Illinois. We got the great city of Pittsburgh in the building. Come on in, you all. Come on in. It's a dirty job, but somebody got to do it. All the conversation on reparation has mysteriously vanished. Like, share, subscribe, hit the notification bell. Support the channel, Super Chat, Cash App, Venmo, PayPal. Yeah, all of the talk about reparations has disappeared. It's gone. So let me do what I could do. Let me do what I could do to keep reparations in the forefront and to push for reparations. I knew that people would be distracted after the election. People were distracted before and after the election. We lose a good 2 years of pushing for anything with the election. We lose a year before the election. We lose a year after election. Mainly because the black man on social media is not active. Of course, we can't expect much outside. Everybody's driving. You don't have a lot of human contact. But the black man is preoccupied with sports, things like that. So he's not able to focus on any type of movement to the point where he can make any noise. He's mostly chasing sports, chasing women, or catering to women. That's pretty much it. And going to work, making money. But when it comes to any type of movement for the people, he's not really there. In this case, we can only really depend on foundational black American men. We can't expect, no Jamaicans or nobody like that to speak up for our reparations. Something that we would have to do. They don't even speak up for their own economical situations wherever they're from. So the energy is off. Right now, most of the energy is focused on no, that's false. The word pushing, you mean pushing? No, nobody's been pushing reparations. That's inaccurate. Please don't interrupt me. You're not even pushing for reparations now. Not that I've seen. Let me ask you something. So are we pushing for reparations right now? Yeah, just give me a yes or no. Do you feel like we're pushing for reparations? Yes or no? Because I was born in 1958 and nobody was pushing for reparations. I was here in 1968. Nobody was pushing for reparations. As a matter of fact, your statement is so off because we didn't even have a way to push for reparations. And so don't come over here with any inaccurate statements. There was no way to push for reparations when you had to watch ABC, NBC, CBS News. You had no outlet to push. There were people that mentioned reparations. There were people that, you know, put reparations on the table. But as far as the term pushing for reparations in the middle of this conversation, what I'm having, I didn't really respect that. Because I'm saying now we got social media, we should push now. And here you come out, well, we've been pushing. When your ass ain't even been pushing over the last 2 years, right here on social media. You definitely have not been pushing for no reparations. What do you mean we've been pushing for? Okay, let me delete this. I don't got time for no foolishness, okay? I don't got time for foolishness. I don't got time. Not today. So the reparations movement has been weak and it definitely has not been pushing. As far as somebody that's probably wasn't born in the 50s saying it's been pushed since the 50s, this is what I'm talking about. Black people didn't even have any way to advocate in the 50s. A person in Alabama wouldn't know anything about some small movement in Brooklyn or somewhere for reparations, okay? All right, let's just be honest. If anybody think that you could start a reparations movement in some city and they would know about it in Alabama, Mississippi, and all that before social media is a fool, okay? To put it lightly, is a fool. And if you can't reach everybody, you can't push nothing, right? He ain't been pushing since the 50s. He ain't been doing a goddamn thing now. He ain't been pushing this week. Just typing. That boy ain't been pushing nothing. You go on his social media, you not gonna see no reparations nowhere. He talking about we been pushing. He ain't been pushing nothing. Trust me. Nothing, zero. Not on his Facebook, his Instagram, and nothing. He has not been pushing no reparations. Or he would have said, I've been pushing. And he said, we've been pushing since the 50s. I said, what the hell? We've been advocating. We ain't been advocating nothing, okay? Reparations didn't really start getting advocated until ADOS, until Yvette Carnell and Tone. That's a fact. Before Yvette Carnell and Tone, there was no push for no reparations. Nowhere, nowhere. And social media has given us the first opportunity to push. So we didn't have the apparatus, the news, the microphones, or nothing to even push anything. Okay, so it had been mentioned. There had been people trying to do little things. I'll say that, but the word pushing and the word we, no, there were some people, but we've never been a we. And even with social media, we're not a we. Even with social media, he would have to admit, with all this social media, uh, I don't feel like it's being pushed right now with the ability to push it. We have the ability to push it. Y'all feel reparations is being pushed right now? No. No. Reparations haven't been pushed since about 6 to 8 months before the presidential election. That's a fact. Reparations hasn't made no noise since about 6 months before uh, uh, Harris Trump. That's a fact. That's a fact. That's absolute fact. Right now, the big word is FBA. Reparations is, and all the people. And I love the term FBA. I love the lineage concept of foundational Black Americans. But most of them people that's posting FBA, they ain't on shit. They ain't on no reparations. They on some beefing with immigrants. Beefing with immigrants is bigger than reparations. If I make videos about Ghanaians or Haitians, I'm gonna get a whole bunch of views. But if I make a video about reparations, I ain't gonna get all them views. I ain't gonna get all them views on no talk about no serious reparations. They don't want to talk about no reparations. They want to beef with the Haitians. You know what I'm saying? Oh my soul. I'm telling you. They want to beef with the Haitians. They want to beef. They want to do nonsense. As soon as I don't want to do nonsense, when they seen that a lot of foundational Black Americans was with nonsense, oh man, everybody and their mom was FBA. But they wasn't FBA. They ain't claiming FBA for no reparations. They claiming FBA to beef. Who want to challenge me? Come on, you're live. They doing it for the beef. They're not doing it for nothing really constructive. That's a fact. See, one thing you can call stuff, you could do whatever, right? You can call this, you can do that. But every game needs a referee, and I'm the ref and I'm the umpire. Strike three, yeah, out of there. It ain't all of that. Listen, bro, stop trolling me. Okay? I ain't gonna tell you no more. I don't want to hear nothing you're talking about. That lady you talk about, don't nobody know her. Nobody. And you haven't even did a good job keeping her popular. So how you gonna say reparations popular, or they've been pushing it by some lady, and there's nobody in this generation know who the hell the lady is? I tell you, man. I tell you, man. It's just ridiculous. It's a bunch of foolishness. Nobody know who the hell that lady is but me and you. Nobody know that lady. You know, some of these people that's like 50s and stuff, they out the loop. They ain't outside. You know what I'm saying? I'm outside. So if I don't see the 20-year-olds and 30-year-olds and 40-year-olds, then your shit weak. If whatever you're talking about, if it ain't outside with the hot young generation, then it ain't doing nothing. Reparations ain't outside. And the Black community, when it's up, it's outside. Facts. White Flame, would you tell them? In the Black community, when it's up, it's outside. If it ain't outside, it's dead. I'm in one of the biggest Black cities in the world, Chicago. There's no reparations out there, nowhere. None. I mean, zero. Not a sign. There's none. It doesn't exist. Nobody I go around know nothing about no reparations. And I mean nobody. Zero. Nobody. The young kids, man, they're 30, 40, 50 years old. How many 30, 40, 50 year olds you know talking about reparations? None. It's not popping nowhere. Of course, with the kids, but I'm talking about the older people. No, reparations is nowhere. The internet's not the real world. It's the fake world. It's not real. Yeah, I mean, I'm pushing reparations and stuff, but it's just like I had nobody to push it to. You know what I'm saying? White Flames, like we can't push nothing because there's nobody that's interested. Nobody's interested. How can I just bring up a conversation, right? How can I bring up a conversation with people that's totally not interested whatsoever? You from Alabama? How strong do you feel reparations, FBA, and IDOS is in Alabama? Strong, medium, all right, or weak? Yeah, I always think about Ghostface. Ghostface had a whole bunch of people. Ghostface had a whole bunch of people on his Twitter back when Twitter had first started. And he dropped the album and he put it on his Twitter and nobody hardly bought it. And he was mad. He was like, I got all these people over here. But see, what he didn't understand, that's not a real world. The internet is not real. A lot of these reparations and FBA people that's on the internet, they just internet FBA. They just internet reparations. As soon as they get off here, they not no damn reparations. They just make them FBA Sandra, FBA Kenny, only just to play on the internet. You know what I'm saying? It's crazy. One thing is, I just be honest. I don't be. Sometimes when you got a cause, you kind of you want to push the cause, so you don't want to be honest about the cause because sometimes you feel, especially when you're young, you feel like you got the cause, and sometimes the cause have you in a world that's not real. I've seen it with Pan Africanism. I've seen it with Rasta. I've seen it with Islam. I've seen it with a lot of causes where the people that's in the movements, if you ask them, the movement is way up here, but they be blinded by the movement and they be outside and they don't see it nowhere. But it's so much in their chest and in their mind and their heart, they got the feeling it's big. It's not till they stop for a minute and look, they see it ain't doing nothing. You know what I'm saying? Because people ain't on shit. People not on nothing. People are phony. Okay, people are. Let me ask y'all something. You see, it's a lot of people say the FBA, reparations, ADOS, right? Let me ask you something. If you're at a location and you got 20 people there that say they're your friend, how many friends do you really have out of those 20 people? Let's just change it to friends. We don't even got to do movement. Let's just talk about friends, people that swear up and down they're your friends. If you're around 20 people that say they're your friends, how many of them can you really call in an emergency and they'll help you? So if you got around 20 people, you can only call maybe two or three to help you. How many reparations FBA people you're around that's really about that life? Seriously. If people that say they're your friend and you're around 20 and it's only maybe two, then out of all these thousands of internet FBA reparations people and ADOS people, how many of them y'all think is really about that life? You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? That's why you don't see no movement. I don't see no movement. The only movement I ever see is a couple scammers get together, say they want to have local reparations, take some city's tax dollars or state tax dollars, and donate it to the study of reparations, which is donating it to in their pockets. And they say they're gonna study reparations, and then you never hear from them anymore. They did a study on reparations in Chicago, if I'm not mistaken. I ain't heard none. They did studies all over California. Nothing. Studies in Boston, studies in New York. They spent a whole lot of money on studies. Boy, big money on studies. Big money on studies. And what is the results of these studies? The Bay Area studies. I was studies. Remember 3, 4 years ago was studies. And then there's been crickets. And so I wanted to talk about the scam of state and local reparations. See, state and local reparations comes from the weak reparations movement, right? Because they're not demanding national reparations. A lot of times they cool with the state reparations because they little state groups and they can weasel a little money from their little movements or whatever, and they could weasel some money. National is more serious. They might not be able to pinch no pennies, and so you don't see a lot of you don't see really no push for no national, no strong push for national reparations. You don't see I don't really see the word reparations anymore. I see FBA a lot. That's all I see. FBA, 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 FBA. I don't never even see no movement behind FBA. I just see FBA. I'm a foundational Black American. It's definitely a lineage, but those in the lineage, those that are that lineage, not in, but are that lineage, they just kind of riding with that. They're like, okay, I'm a foundational Black American. That don't necessarily mean I'm a support reparations. Basically, I mean, which that's fine. You know, that doesn't mean, you know, If you're a Black American, that doesn't mean you have to support any type of movement. So that makes some sense. Some. It's just irritating because all that stuff was born out of reparations. So that's so irritating. All that stuff without the reparations movement, none of that is born. There is no American descendants of slaves. There is no foundation of Black Americans without reparations because there's no center focal point to even push it. The center focal point was reparations. That was the focal point. I was here. I wasn't born yesterday. I watched all this materialize. I've been a part of it. And then the other dangerous thing has been the politics because people have been saying, don't vote, sit down, sit on the couch. So what happens, the election comes, they tell people to sit on the couch. The election's over, people stay on the couch and stay on the couch. They never told, hey, let's develop a candidate so we don't got to sit on the couch. They just sitting on the couch from election to election to election. That's the dumbest thing ever. You're supposed to be preparing a candidate. I can understand it's time for election. You don't like none of the candidates. That seems to me as soon as the election's over, you'd start developing a candidate. Who's the FBA candidate that we're developing? Oh, we ain't developing shit. Who's our FBA candidate that we're developing to run for president or senators and stuff? Are we developing any foundational Black American candidates? Are any of those being introduced to us? No. Nope. Because what we want to do today is we want to disrespect tethers. That's what we want to do. Tethers, tethers, tethers. Ain't that what it looked like to me? Unless somebody want to prove me wrong, they can come into the live. The live is open. You can come into the live. I'm willing to listen, and for you to show me where it's going, I'm willing to listen. If you could come and break it down to me, you might be able to break it down to Billy Bobo or whatever, but this big Pharaoh, come break it down to me. Make it make sense to me. I'd like to see that. Yeah, I'd like to have that conversation. Make it make some sense to me. Like, where is it going? Show me where it's going, because I don't see it. And everybody know if you're going somewhere, I'm going. I'm riding. But I'm not. But I'm the first one that when I see the car ain't going nowhere, I'm not just gonna stay in the car. The car still got to be going somewhere. I'm not just happy to be in the car. You know, that's not me. Where we going? Because if this car ain't going nowhere, we probably need another car. I'm just saying. I don't think we got a car at all. I think we're just out here willy nilly. I like the way we're delineating, but I don't see where that's the purpose of it. I don't see the purpose yet. Do I feel like the push has not only declined, it's died. It's totally died. It's dead. This is probably the only video that's gonna say reparations. That's the only one I'm gonna see in my timeline. my timeline been saying Haitians, tethers, and then other things, sports, the Knicks, LeBron, LeBron, stuff like that. Timeline right now. Keefy D, I can tell you the timeline right now. Well, Dirk, that's the timelines right now. And I'm subscribed to a variety of, and that's basically the timelines and the natural disasters. The natural disasters is making some noise. The storms over, the fires over in Eastern Europe, the fires in, I mean, Western Europe, and the fires in Western, Northern United States are making a lot of noise. Tornadoes and floods. Got my timeline going crazy, yeah. But as far as any type of, as far as black Americans, nothing. Lots of people just kind of overdid it, going at the Haitians. It just it gets to a point where it's okay, we get the point, but it's really hard to. We got to use social media, and social media is a trick bag because people want views, and then content creators make money. So if you could if you could if you can talk about Haitians and get 300 views, but then you talk about reparations and get like say it's 45 people over here. If I was talking about the Haitians, it would be 145 people over here already. So the content creators are kind of stuck. They're trying to make a living or they're trying to get views, and the audience don't really like intelligence too much. The audience like beef and stuff like that. The audience the audience, especially black audience, doesn't really like intelligence too much. They like arguments, beef, confusion, to pile on a subject like that. The black social media audience uh, doesn't really want to hear anything serious. They need an enemy. Now, if they got an enemy, they would say, "Yeah, down with them. Yeah, they ain't nothing, man. They not nothing." They like that. So if I like just kick the Haitians, I could get a lot of views, and your views just get up. More people come to watch you kick the Haitians. I ain't lying. I ain't lying. When I was dogging the Haitians, I was doing it because I really wanted to dog them. But like once I did what I had to do, I'm not the person that's going to keep doing it for views. So then I lose all my views. Like I like to talk about foundational Black Americans, but then when it get to the point that I'm just doing it for views, I stop doing it, and then they all go away because they want me to talk about that every day, whether it's getting somewhere or not. They want me to pimp it, and I just don't do that. I could, but that's not my thing. I want to be true to myself. So they want me to pimp FBA. Yeah, we this, the Haitians this, Africans this. If I pimp that every day, yeah, 200 people just like that. If I pimp that every day, they coming. If I don't do it no more, they don't want to come. But fuck them because they're gonna go away anyway. Soon as that action died out, they all some hoes anyway. Anyway, they some hoes anyway. They been some hoes. They been fraudulent. I seen all the fraudulent. I knew they was fraudulent. What I look like. It's Big Pharaoh. This ain't little Pharaoh. This ain't weirdo Pharaoh. So I knew they was fraudulent anyway. You know, I don't care nothing about them people. I've been doing this before anybody was monetizing high or anything. I'm really almost one of the kings of live streaming, to be honest, and making videos. Seriously, I've been doing this a long time, a long, long time. So I don't care. You got to have some kind of dignity and some type of self respect. And, everything ain't for sale. But the reparations, you know, it's just sad that our foreparents did so much work for free and never got paid. And, then you had the Great Migration where they came up here and they had to work, like my mother and father had to work, and had to, buy homes and build families, right? And set some type of stability. And then my generation come and we the ones really see how they treated our parents and our grandparents and great grandparents. And then we get social media. So we're the ones now supposed to avenge them. But people is like a lot of black men, they're like, I'm gonna go out and get my own. Which I do respect a brother getting his own. But if you slap my mother 10 years ago, but I got a wife and I'm with my wife and I see you and my mother's no longer here, I still got to handle that. And so my problem is that people, the fact that they robbed us, I can't really let that go. I don't care if I get $1 million. Because some brothers like, well, go get your own money. All right. I got $10 million. Do that mean I'm gonna let you get by for mistreating my ancestors? No. No, that's not going. I don't give a damn how much money I got. You're gonna still give me that money. Let's say my sister's outside and a guy robbed my sister to take her $200. 5 years later, I got $30,000. I didn't gave my sister money, a bunch of money, a lot of times. But I see dude with pull a wallet out with a bunch of money, and I ain't seen him. I'm not gonna go and get that $200, maybe 400 for interest. I'm gonna blow that off because we got money now, and I paid my sister. I'm gonna forget the principle that the man disrespected my sister, because that's what a lot of you black brothers is doing. You blowing off the fact how they treated our ancestors like some punks. To me, y'all some bitches. You know what they did to your great 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 grandpa parents, and you ain't doing shit. And they know what they did to them. And look how, and so how they gonna treat our sons and daughters when they say, they some bitches anyway. So now you making us look weak. That's what. To me, you look weak. But one thing about the black man, you'll be strong if you run into me. Oh boy. You strong when you see another brother. Oh boy. But you's a punk in the world to everybody else. The only one you tough with is your brothers and sisters. Everybody else can kick you in your ass. You ain't gonna do nothing. I don't know. So I'm over here letting it be known. Listen, we want national reparations too. We don't want no local. We don't want no state, no local reparations. We want it national. Let's look at the facts. National reparations for descendants of former slaves involve proposed financial and social compensation to address the historic and enduring wealth gap caused by chattel slavery and post slavery discriminatory policies. While federal legislation like H.R. 40 has long sought to study the issue, no nationwide program exists. I repeat, no nationwide program exists, though local municipal and state efforts continue to advance. No nationwide program exists. Arguments and proposals. Proponents view compensation as an unpaid economic debt for centuries of forced labor, redlining, and Jim Crow laws. Proposed remedies from organizations like the NAACP include direct payments, land grants, and social service programs. National polls show deep division with high support among Black Americans and low support among white Americans. Local and state actions. Several local jurisdictions have implemented small scale reparative programs or housing grants. Look, tell you right to your face. A little pin, some birth, a small scale state level task force, such as the one in California, have published comprehensive framework from official state apologies and financial redress. A bunch of nonsense. But we want to diss Haitians for 3 years straight. Okay, we didn't diss them. When we gonna get back to work? Slavery was national in its economic reach, political power, and constitutional protections, even though individual northern states abolished the practice locally after the American Revolution that we also fought in and lost our lives in. No reparations for that. The federal government and the U.S. Constitution protected slavery through compromises. The federal government and the U.S. Constitution protected slavery through compromises, while northern financial and shipping markets profited directly from southern plantation labor. In other words, the North turned a blind eye because the South was sending the money to them because they the ones owned everything. The South was just the white slaves to watch the black slaves, to send the money up to the money men that was really behind it. And when the money men behind it went down there and tried to take them people's houses and foreclose them people's houses, they put a military together and that started the Civil War. Because the whites in the South seen that the real slave owners was the whites up north and the whites down south, and the blacks were slaves to the banks up north and the businesses and the railroad and the steam engine company and the cotton industry. And to all the people up here was getting the money, Wells Fargo, Bank of America, that got our money right now. Ain't nobody saying nothing. You beefing 1,000 days with some goddamn Haitians, while Bank of America and Wells Fargo is laughing in your punk face. And you're going to pick on the poor black people going to get deported. Legal and constitutional recognition. The U.S. Constitution. Framers protected slavery without explicitly using the word slavery. So they did it without explicitly using the word slavery. It included the 3/5 clause, giving Southern states extra political power. The fugitive slave clause, requiring runaway slaves to be returned from free states. And a 20-year ban on ending the international slave trade. They actually had laws said, hey, if he ran up here, you got to take him back. Federal law. The federal government forced laws like the Fugitive Slave Act of 1793 and 1850, forcing citizens and law enforcement in free states to assist capturing and returning escaped individuals. While the Moors talk about they was walking around free, the Moors was helping them take them back. The Moors were slave catchers, and many Moors caught slaves and took them back, and they put their ass in slavery. Tell him more if he wants to smoke, come over here and get it. Let me go to the library, pull out the big books. Supreme Court, the 1857 Dred Scott decision ruled that Congress had no authority to ban slavery in federal territories, effectively making the legal theory of slavery national in scope. So all this slavery was in the South. No, slavery, the whole United States. Slavery was national, not state by state. So how we want our reparations? We want our reparations national. Don't give me no state reparations. There wasn't no state slavery. You had laws on the books and all in the Constitution that got to return the slaves from the North back down South where they belong. So everybody's complacent. Everybody, the whole United States, owe for slavery. Not no Illinois slave bill, no California slave study, no Texas slave study. No. We need a United States federal study on slaves, and we need that money paid nationally from the United States government. And the United States government need to pay half, and the Bank of America and Wells Fargo and the cotton industry and all these other industries pay the other half. They got the money. They got the money. We're not going to play stupid. The cotton industry got so much money that they changed everything so you can't even find them. You can't find them, you know. They got rid of their addresses and everything. They just got a trademark logo, but you can't find them. You don't know how much money they got. Look it up. They just used their logo, cotton. Where they located at? Nowhere. They get money behind the scenes. It's cotton. Look it up. Slavery was national. National. Slavery was national in its economic reach. National. The Constitution backed it up. The legal institution of human chattel slavery comprises the enslavement primarily of Africans and foundational Black Americans, was prevalent in the United States from the founding in 1776 until 1865. Predominantly, in the southern, in the South. So predominantly in the South, slavery was found throughout European colonialization in the Americas. You see, slavery was found throughout European colonization in the Americas. It goes all the way to Europe. From 1526, during the early colonial period, it was practiced in what became Britain's colonies, including the 13 colonies that formed the United States. They don't want to tell you that they was that the British was practicing slavery with us here. And the only reason the British wanted to end slavery is because when America won the Revolutionary War and was bringing slaves over here and Britain couldn't get no money, Britain went out on the seas and stopped slave ships. And when Britain went out on the sea, Britain went on the seas and stopped the slave ships because they wasn't getting no more money. So then the whites over here went and built a bunch of breeding farms and made the women just have babies back to back to back to back to back and breeded them. And began to transport the ones they was breeding in the Virgin Islands, Jamaica, and in the Caribbean. They want to tell you that. Once again, it was practiced in what became Britain's colonies, including the 13 colonies that formed the United States. Under the law, children were born into slavery, and an enslaved person was treated as property that could be bought, sold, or given away. Slavery persisted in about half of the U.S. states until its abolition in 1865. Issues involving slavery seeped into every aspect of national politics, economics, and social customs. In the decades after Reconstruction ended in 1877, many of slavery's economic and social functions continued throughout segregation, sharecropping, and convict leasing, and voluntary servitude as a punishment for crime remains legal. In other words, the penitentiaries have still got you as a slave. Now look at these dates. 1865, 1877, 1865, 1877, right? Watch this. 1865, 1877. I used to stay at my mother's grandmother's house when I went to Alabama. What year she was born? 1876. Does this not say 1877? This is my great grandmother. I'm born in 1958. You can see I was down there because she lived to 1993. So you know I really was at her house. She lived to be 117 years old. This is my grandfather's mother. My grandfather lived here and she lived there. I actually experienced the remnants of slavery. I've seen it. I've seen it. I was going to Alabama in the 60s, and it was still there. And there was still people in slavery when we was going to Alabama, back on them farms where nobody knew they was back there. And they was still enslaving people through the penitentiary system and the jail system and on them hidden farms way back in the middle of nowhere. You've seen the numbers. 1877, 1865, and you hear it. In the decades after Reconstruction ended in 1877, She was born 1876. And all of that 1800s and early 1900s, what you think she went through? You think things were sweet? This is my great grandmother. I used to stay at her house. Her son, my mother's father. This is my mother's father's mother. This is my grandfather's mother on my mother's side. And we would go stay at his farm. And then we would go stay down there where she lived. She had a house, but she just had corn and stuff like that. Her son would go down there and take care of it for her. We would go stay with her 2 or 3 days. Then we go back and stay with my granddaddy. Then we go stay back with her for 2 days. We go stay with my granddaddy. Then we leave. Then we go to Decatur. And we go to Birmingham and Decatur. Right. They went through it. Yeah, great grandma Ada Robinson went through it. Now you tell me they don't owe you no reparations what they did to your great grandma. See, that's what I'm talking about. It's personal. See, they trying to make us think, oh, that was a long. No, that wasn't no long time, no nothing. People like me was around the people that you had as slaves. And you still had them as slaves until we was like, till I was 12 years old. Well, slavery didn't end until 1970. Slavery didn't end until 1970. It was 1970 before you could get on a bus or walk around and have any type of freedom. And then people still didn't know they was free. A lot of people didn't get totally free till like 1977. Ask somebody. People was like, oh, we's free? They didn't even know nothing about no Emancipation Proclamation. How you gonna know? If the slave owner don't tell you free, how you gonna know you free? And some other white man gonna go tell them and gonna tell you, you know you free? No. You're 100% correct. This is why our parents went down south every year. We didn't go on vacations. We did. We went to Disney World and Six Flags after they go see about their family. Every year, my mom and daddy went and checked on their family like religion. Every year. I remember we used to go on the train. And then he got a Buick Electra 225, and we went in, and he bought Cadillacs. And every year, I was in Alabama for 2 or 3 weeks. So it's real personal to me because I seen slavery. It was still there. You could see the remnants when you go. You could see it. And you could see the fight because my grandfather had a shotgun hung on the wall right by the front door. And I'll never forget, we was getting ready to have some kind of family function coming up, and they bought Sugar Man. That's my mother's uncle or something. I forgot. I think that's her brother. It might be her brother. And the police pulled up the roads way down there. It's a long road before you get to the house. So the police pulled on the crossroad. They can't turn on my granddaddy's road. This just shows you the tension from slavery. The sheriffs did not turn on this road. So when the sheriffs got out there and blew the horn, my granddaddy grabbed his rifle. And my granddaddy come up to the porch with his rifle. And this the police. I'm a little boy. I don't know what's going on. But now when I think about it, I be like, ooh, wee. So the police get out the car and he say, Smitty, can I come up? And my granddaddy like, come on. But I never forget how my granddaddy said it and how he had that gun. And he knew it was the police. What that tell you? If it's 2 white police and my granddaddy come on his porch with his rifle, what that tell you about the conditions? He ready to get down with the police. to protect his family. And they came, and I remember Sugar Man was in the back of the car. My mother was so happy. I think that was one of her favorite people. He used to make moonshine. Fast he got Joe, he make more moonshine, go back. I'm a little kid, so I don't even remember what he looked like. So none of this is a joke. We need to be standing on national reparations hard. That's what we need to be doing. It's very important that we recognize ourselves as foundational Black Americans. Tariq Nasheed, he really knocked the ball out the park with that. Because without being foundational, you can't get no reparation. Right? So you got to be able to trace yourself back to get the reparations. So FBA is 100% right and exact. We have to prove we foundational. We have to be able to trace ourselves back to slavery to get our reparations. So we want to keep pushing that. My only problem is you need to be pushing it with slavery high on the list included and reparations included. You don't need to be pushing that you foundational without pushing why it's important to be foundational. Why it's important to trace yourself back. And there's nothing more important than reparations, especially considering they stole all our money and a lot of our Black people still dealing with economical hardships, and it's getting even worse. How many Black women have just lost their jobs under the Trump administration? Thousands. And we're not going to talk about the unalivements that have been happening. Well, Haitians didn't do it. Jamaicans didn't do it. Somalians didn't do that. So, I mean, I can see us not want to be bothered with none of them because they really ain't come in and help to fight. But then was we fighting for any Blacks to help us? No. We got to take responsibility too. Because when Black immigrants came over here, they didn't see no fight. Maybe they would have got in a fight if you was fighting. But on their behalf, we wasn't fighting. So help us how? We was cockeying and kikiing. So they start cockeying and kikiing. It wasn't like we had no type of strength or no type of program set up to show Black immigrants we fighting for something. We wasn't fighting for shit. What was we fighting for the Haitians to help us? What was we fighting for the Somalians to help us? What was we fighting for Nigerians and Ghanaians to help us? Nothing. We helped them come in and be lackadaisical just like us, to be honest. We showed them not to be on shit. Now, yeah, we work, we got Hollywood, we get out, don't get me wrong. We make our money. We're strong people. But we ain't that strong if our women giving all that money to no Asian hair salons. We ain't that strong if our women got African women braiding their hair, giving all that money. We ain't that strong. Because it don't make no sense that the people been here, Foundation Black Americans, is giving no money to no goddamn body. As long as we been here, they supposed to be buying from us. Asian women supposed to be coming to Black women getting her hair done, helping her do her hair and do her nail. Africans supposed to be coming to us to get their hair done. How we the ones that the foundational? How we going to somebody else, spending money with somebody else? Are we the foundational? Why we ain't the foundation of the business? I'm just saying. If you're the foundation of Black American, Why you ain't got no foundation when it come to get your nails done? Why you ain't got no foundation when it come to get your hair done? I think that's a good question. Where's that foundation? Since you foundational, how you going to an Asian nail shop? How you buying stuff from Africans and all them? They brand new. Then you want to say they brand new? I've been here longer than you. Well, then why she doing your hair? Why the African lady doing your wife hair if your wife family been here longer than the African lady? How the African lady come and get the shot? Oh, Pharaoh, they get him money and stuff. Okay, have you been trying to get the money? No. Have you complained because you ain't getting the money? No. If that was a problem, why we don't know? Why you ain't bring it up? Why we ain't been marching? Why we ain't been protesting? Where's our money? Where's our loans? You can't wait until you see some immigrants get loans from the government and then complain, but you never made the government give you what they should have gave you. You ain't even trying to get your reparations. But you mad that immigrants coming and getting stuff. But whose fault is it we ain't getting that? Ours. A closed mouth don't get fed. So now when y'all gonna stand up and go get what we supposed to get? We unite now. We foundational black Americans, we American descendants of slavery. We need to look at that the same thing. Okay? Same coin, different sides. Okay, fine. All right, what we gonna do? Because both groups could both concepts or lineages or lineage descriptions can go get it. Basically, basically, he said grandfather came from the cotton fields from Georgia to Pennsylvania steel mills in the early 50s. This was life and death, risky information, advice, opportunity to share this among them. 100% correct. At that point, the steel mills was making a lot of money. Steel mills was the backbone of a lot of black families. The steel mills, the car factories, they worked for the auto factories, they worked for the steel mills, they drove the buses and things like that. Decatur, Alabama, that's where my daddy from. The Elliots, Decatur, Alabama. You know my family. You know them. You know Adolph and them. If you live in Decatur, Alabama, you know the Adolphus, and you know the Elliots, and you know the Stewarts. There ain't no doubt. So I'm like, what we gonna do? We're gonna have to do something. We're gonna have to make some kind of changes because this ain't gonna get it. And we're gonna have to get more serious. That's what I would say. We got to stop playing around. That's for sure. If you're down in Decatur, Alabama, you in Decatur, Alabama? Because if you're in Decatur, Alabama, go holler at my daddy's nephew, Adolphus A. Elliott. Go holler at him. Go holler at the family. Down there in Decatur, Alabama. That's my daddy family. His sister, this my daddy's sister kids. My auntie's kids. When they was young. The one all the way on the left, that's Adolph, the one I pictured. This the age he was when he came to stay with us. My daddy got him a job driving the bus for CTA so he can make money so he can go back to school. So I've been knowing him since he was straight out of high school, on his way to college and old enough to drive the bus up here. I was a shorty. He older than me. My mother gave them my room, and they slept in my room, and I slept downstairs. They made me a little bed downstairs. I had to sleep downstairs and let the three, him, his brother, and their best friend, they all three like relatives. And that my daddy got him a job driving the bus with CTA. They made a whole lot of money. And they went back down there and they lived good. It was crazy about my daddy. It was crazy about Uncle Randolph. And they came to see my daddy, and he passed away about a week or two after they left. So we would go to see my mother's people, my mother's father in Uniontown, Alabama. Then we would go see all her cousins and all them and nephews and all them in Birmingham. Then we would leave Birmingham and we would go to Decatur. But we would go to other towns too, Thompson and other towns wherever everybody went to school. It might be at college. So we'd end up going to about 5 cities down in Alabama just to see everybody. But the main ones was Uniontown. You know, Uniontown's out in the middle where the farm is at. That Uniontown's not even there no more. And Birmingham and Decatur. And then a couple of other little towns where they went to college and stuff like that. Oh, slavery is real. It's not no joke. So, you know, y'all take it serious, like stop blowing it off. But we don't want no local reparations is my point. We want national reparations. We want it nationally. We don't want no local, no state reparations. We want national reparations, not local or state. Y'all got to push that. National, 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 national. That's what we want. And keep pushing the line. Don't let these people run over us. Victory.
My poll tax certificate from 1960 when we had to pay $2 or $3 to vote, and we only made $2 or $3. So you had to choose between eating or voting. That was the suppression back in the 60s. If you missed one year, they doubled it up on you the next year. I didn't have to pay because I was a veteran. So this is my exemption certificate, but I had to show it. So when they say you don't have to show ID, we've been showing ID since we started voting.
Now, if you want smoke, I'm here for all of it. But we not about to play the gaslighting game. Just like we said, FBA is not an organization, FBA is also not a movement. There is a movement, though. The movement is called the Delineation Movement. FBA is the lineage, delineation is the movement.